Speaking of big openings, welcome everybody to the Book of Flynn.
Thank you.
I'm Reigna Flynn, and I went rogue.
I was trying to think of a clever opening, and Reigna saved me. Thank you. I'm VinzerFlinn.
This is what happens when we decide to take a walk outside before the podcast. So buckle up, folks.
Joint subcommittee meeting right before recording. So yeah, good luck, everybody. So since we last recorded, we have to address the Buffy elephant in the room, which is Nicholas Brendan passed away a couple weeks ago there, which is definitely going to make watching future Buffy episodes just, it's gonna feel a little different now for sure.
Yeah, maybe. Because remember, I'm not crapping on Nicholas Brendan. May he rest in peace. I actually have a very nice personal experience with Nicholas Brendan. Multiple of them, actually, over the span of HalCon, my first HalCon. I met him outside before I ever even entered. He was out on a smoke break. And he said hi to me, and I was like, hey, I'm actually here to see you. Because he was like, what you doing here? You go at HalCon or whatever. And he was, making nice conversation. And I was like, yeah, I'm here to see you. He's like, perfect. And I was like, well, I'll see you inside. So I was just like, so I wanted to give him his time away from fans or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of like, hey, you again. Like every time I saw him that week, because I saw him once for autograph, and then I saw him once for photograph. So I got him to sign my season 6 DVD because he is on the cover in that season.
There you go. Nice Nicholas Brendan story for you.
Yeah. So, and I mean, to my original point, I'm not crapping on the actor. I'm crapping on the character because it is a Joss Whedon insert, and I can crap on him all I want.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, Nicholas. We're still gonna have a go at Xander, I guess.
Yes. Sorry.
Hey, you watch. I'm trying to be all charitable now, but as we go, I'm gonna be like, this fucking guy, fucking.
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, buckle up. Yeah.
I even have my. No one's gonna see this, but y'all will maybe hear the sound. I don't know. But I have my belt buckle on from 2007 that I got at the university bazaar.
The old seat belt buckle belt.
Belt buckle belt. Oh,
dub
dear.
Video dub. Yeah, you got a nice picture with Nicholas Brennan. You got a great picture with Tony Head. It's up. Is or was up in the dining room, but it's hilarious. And
Yes.
I usually when I go to the cons, I usually just go to see friends and screw around and stuff. I don't really go for the celebrities. I like that everyone else is loving it so much. It doesn't do much for me personally, but once in a while you get like an organic one that just happens randomly. And this was like 2012, 2013, and it was the last day of the con. Everyone's clearing out, and the tables are all being torn down. And John Rhys Davies, from Indiana Jones and everything else, he walks by and he stops and he goes, "You all look sensational," and then he fucked off, and it was great. What a nice guy.
That reminds me of the drive-by I had with Chad Michael Murray when I went up to the weapons booth because I wanted to get my cosplay for Reigna a weapon. I think I ended up getting something from Destiny. Anyways, so all of a sudden, Chad Michael Murray comes out like a blur, runs up to the table, he picks up a sword and he just goes, "This is really cool," and then he like drops it and then he books it. I was just like, there he goes.
Yeah. I've seen some excitable footage of him at HalCon when he was in the Nelson suit and stuff.
Yeah, he loves that Nelson suit.
My favorite though is random celebrity meetings at HalCon, in particular, is the first one when my friend Angel, who some might remember was the pink Mandalorian from the good old days, she gets on an elevator in the Lord Nelson Hotel with fucking Walter Koenig, Chekhov from Star Trek, and she's in full armor, and it's just the two of them in the elevator, and he goes, "Star Wars, right?" And she goes, "Yeah, that other star thing." That was it. Don't come back for that. Okay, you're up. It's Clone Wars episode 5, I think.
Please note that I have a rampaging Willow behind me, so bear any explosions.
Yeah, the hearing any crash, it's a Mandalorian saber cat on the loose. Pay it no mind.
Season 3, Episode 5 of Star Wars Clone Wars, Corruption. The challenge of hope is to overcome corruption. This episode is another one that is aging beautifully in the current
timely. Got news for you. Corruption won.
Yeah. The prediction was more trade negotiations, because why would Clone Wars ever discuss the clones? Our recap is letting us know that this episode we're going to be focusing on Mandalore, which means Duchess Saltine is back, baby. I know it's
just to clarify. Okay, yeah, I was going to ask. Are you doing that on purpose? I assumed.
Yeah. Yes, the dance. The dance must have given it away. Yes, Saltine. It's a RuPaul's callback. If you know, you know. But otherwise, it's Duchess Satine. Supply chains are cut off and people are turning to the black market, causing tensions to rise in the capital city of Sundari, and Padme Amidala is en route to make a diplomatic visit.
I thought you said pie chains. And I'm like, they've cut off their pies. It's war.
Not the apple. Give me a lemon meringue or die. Speaking of Sundari, Amidala's showing up and she's greeted by Satine. A senator visiting a planet in a crisis, and they're not sending a Jedi with them? Yeah, right. AKA Gloomy isn't pretending to be the pilot?
Yeah, really. You got to kill those hyperspace time somehow, right?
Yep. Satine recognizes that staying neutral has caused issues within the Senate, and after some trade route blah blah blahs, Satine assures Padme that she just wants Padme to see the new Mandalore. Padme comments that Organa told her to expect a full court greeting, but Satine's like, I just wanted to see you first. Girl friendships! We pass through a tunnel to see a huge crowd of Mandalorians, and this is when we learn that it's kind of a tradition, and this is more of the greeting that Organa was referring to. Meanwhile, elsewhere on Mandalore... I don't know why I'm doing that voice. Sorry, people. A ship definitely not shaped like a 1970 Cylon head lands on Mandalore, and it has walkie legs, and it's really unsettling, and I have a lot of capitalized words going, nope, please no. A King Tut looking mother comes out, and then a bunch of supplies. They look like Lysol wipes, by the way. They start being unloaded. They're greeted by a customs official, and he points out that they're not on the schedule, but King Tut assures them it must be a clerical error as he's like waving some of the currency around, which took me way too long to remember was, I think, credits.
Yeah.
Cool. The custom agent's like, make sure that you only talk to me next time. Also count your blessings, because a bunch of people should have been here. Back on over at Sundari, Prime Minister Almec is exposition guy, explaining how neutrality on Mandalore has led to a racket trade routes, blah, 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 something, black market. What's going to be done about it? Two of the council people start arguing. Padme points out that there's growing animosity, and Satine suggests that, like, Padme, why don't you help with negotiations? She fumbles it immediately, though, and they end up turning into a whole bunch of infighting, and it's oh my gosh, it's such a homeowners association moment. Like, these guys are driving me nuts.
We noticed you haven't cut your lawn lately.
Exactly. Satine gives the council a timeout, grounds them all, and then storms out. So she's Mother of the Year. Back at King Tut's operation, the space goats are rolling in kegs that contain slabin. I don't know if I'm watching too much RuPaul, or did that make sense that I wasn't in on?
It was a weird name. It didn't really roll off the tongue.
No. Well, anyways, that slabin can dilute the tea, and therefore they can make twice as much. However, it's toxic in the wrong doses. What's the worst that could happen?
You know, those Mandalorians, they're famous tea drinkers.
Satine's supper must be hours later because they had to get all of their hair redid.
Oh, I have very few notes in this episode, and that is a big one. The costume changes between moments of crisis.
I know. Like, excuse me, I need to put on my... Like, I wonder if it's like Darth Vader's helmet that just gets lowered onto their heads and they're all just like the best people to blend those weaves. I don't know, but the hairlines are immaculate. If they spent less time on their hair and more time on the war, they'd probably have won.
They must be the Star Trek technology we don't see is how quickly they get ready. There's droids that are due in a second or something.
Yeah, like, you know those machines that, like, well, I mean, maybe you don't know. This is definitely a childhood me thing. But you could literally put your hair in it and it would like braid for you. Like,
I
maybe they just have
remember.
like a whole machine that just goes, like, you basically just like sucks onto your head and just styles it in all these like weird little tubes and sticks it together. Like,
I
maybe we're
remember
just
the
not
commercials.
the best hair dryer.
I think I specifically remember it because the commercial came on, and it was either my mom or my sister, both of which are fucking samurai level smartasses, is when they just demonstrated it twisting the girl's hair. One of them went, like going like ah, like it was pulling the hair. I think that's why I remember the commercial. Because I'm from a
I
family
feel like
of
that would have
fucking
been your
riffers.
mom. That seems like a
Oh,
one like
yeah.
would say. Yeah. Your sister would actually like say something, but your mom would definitely make reactions.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's off topic, but anyway.
Anyways,
Sorry.
back to how do they style their hair, the fashion corner of the Book of Flynn. Padme admits that she wishes she could follow in Mandalore's path of neutrality. Interesting, Senator. Satine points out that there are too many senators who are only looking out for their own interests. And of course, I immediately flash to the one of the Twi'lek planet where the guy's running with the chicken leg flying in the air when he was almost... Oh, man, this show gives me some good moments. Speaking of senators who are only looking out for their own interests, this show's aging so well.
Oh, God, yeah. I hate it.
Satine suggests that they see the new hospital opening tomorrow. With a new batch of non-toxic tea, I'm sure they'll have a grand old time.
Sounds like a threat. See you at the hospital tomorrow. Wait, what do you mean?
I'll see you there. Sure enough, over at the hospital, they land to see sick people outside the hospital and others being brought in. I didn't realize that it was children at first. I thought it was like adults and just random public people. Guess Dr. Corrupt didn't account for those pediatric weight doses.
There's a bunch of drunk kids sitting around here. What the hell's going on?
They poisoned the punch. You're supposed to spike the punch. Oops.
This Kool-Aid's fantastic. It's fucking hyper.
The doctor explains that they've been poisoned. And all the audience is side-eyeing each other. Reports are coming in from across the planet. So this is a planet-wide thing, which is a lot bigger than I thought that it would be.
See, this is supporting my idea that Mandalorians and Scottish people are very close. Like apparently we're all just drinking tea all the time. It tastes a bit funny, doesn't it?
Yeah. They're currently testing the food for a cause, but the kids are running out of time. Over at the Prime Minister's office, this guy. Anyways, Prime Minister... Shush. Victor in the background. Prime Minister suggests that Death Watch might be the cause. Satine's like, what? Terrorists or not? Death Watch usually go after people in power, not children. The Prime Minister's like, I'll speak to the ruling council. Oh, good. The Homeowners Association again? That'll go well. Satine is disgusted at the Prime Minister's lack of concern. Her and Padme decide to do their own thing. Satine calls for the personal guard to help her. At the Mandalorian school, they're waltzing in with the superintendent, and the Duchess and the Senator are in the cafeteria, and she asks about the drink, which is when this question comes to mind. Why hadn't the outside drink that isn't on the menu been investigated first? Why is it the food that's brought in through standardized methods? Anyways, they analyze the contents and bing, 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 the source of the toxin. Interesting note that the superintendent is looking shifty during this exchange. More on that later, folks. Because we're going to the docks, and they notice that the logs for the school imports have been erased, and the superintendent tries to flee, and he's intercepted by the guards. Tell us, or my guards won't be as conversational as I am. Padme's like, Satine, and she's just like, and I'm just like, no, get it, girl, yes.
Now, I'm going to have a bunch of things to say about the Mandalorians at the end of this episode, but I will say this. I will give Satine credit for adhering to the phrase that Mandalorians don't make threats, they make promises.
Exactly. The superintendent's like, I was just trying to cut costs because the budget was too low. Satine's like, try again because the government fully funds this program. And then he admits to pocketing the extra that he wasn't spending on this. The superintendent starts singing and he mentions Sadiq, and we immediately cut to a sketchy looking guy who reminds me of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the turn of the century thief who he's an urban East Londoner accent and he's got his feet up on the desk and he seems really cavalier about the sick children. He's like, look, I'm just doing a job. No, I'm not trying the accent. He tells them he's protected by some loophole because he's just the middleman and he didn't know about the tea. He tells them that the tea came from Mugar? I watched this episode a little while ago, okay? And the Commerce Guild. I don't know what that is. Padme's spidey sense is tingling and hones in on the customs agents immediately. He shows them that there's a new shipment coming in tonight, and the ladies start to plot. Speaking of the plot, Padme, Satine, and her guard are infiltrating the dock, and Padme admits she didn't think the diplomatic trip would include this. Satine tells her that Obi has told Satine all about her excursions while she was queen, and I'm like, when was that, guys? When was that, guys? And Satine honestly thought that this would be right up Padme's alley, which, not wrong, as we'll come to see. The walkie Cylon ship that I absolutely hate, I'm so glad Battlestar Galactica didn't do anything like this. They did more like Star Citizen Sexy Blade stuff. I love that. So good. I do love that. The Cylon ship opens and it's King Tut and his Egyptian guards unloading more tea. They watch on as a custom agent greets Tut and they see the exchange of credits, and Satine is disgusted by this blatant corruption. And she's like, how far up the chain does this go? She goes straight to his superior, and the officer denies even the possibility. Like, he's so arrogant that he's like, this would never happen under my watch. And she's like, well, I watched, and they did.
Madam, you're becoming hysterical.
With all due respect, she cuts him off. If you want my respect, you'll arrest these criminals and stop stalling. I'm like, boom. I really respect Satine in this. She's much better without Obi-Wan Kenobi in the room. While the captain is clutching his pearls at this accusation, she continues to accuse him of being involved, which is why wouldn't he already be there arresting the criminals instead of admonishing their existence unless he's involved? So he poo-poos that he's involved with it. They arrive and they find guards, the same ones guarding the doors earlier, and it turns out not their post. The captain, the officer that we were seeing earlier, orders them to let them in, but the guards actually resist and they start to panic and attack. The captain 1-2 punches out the Harry and the Marv of the docks, because we don't get to see any of the B1 bingo droids this time around. And upon opening the door, they discover a tableau of King Tut and his cronies with the tea. Like, they all just freeze.
Red-handed, as it were.
A shootout ensues. The shoosting begins. And Captain takes out a couple before he's injured. Senator Padme looks at the fallen blaster and she starts working on her own thing. Like, this is where her hangouts with Gloomwalker are going. Although she was doing this long before he was, but still. They push a container in front of the door and cover Padme and give Satine a first-hand look at what she got to on her excursions. As they push the container in and advance on the King Tut's army, she basically, like, blasts pretty much everybody in the room. Like, she just finishes off the room. Satine orders the burning of the warehouse, and the captain protests at first because he's just like, it's evidence. And I am with him on this, but I do understand that she doesn't want to chance this falling into anyone else's greedy little grubby hands. At the PM's office, they inform the PM that Death Watch was not involved at all, and there's an antidote on the way. Satine goes on to say that the corruption is intolerable, with the payoffs and the police too arrogant to do their job because there's no way they missed anything on their watch. The Prime Minister replies that he's making a committee to look into it.
As in, no one will ever be prosecuted.
Yeah, okay, this is like the Epstein files all over again. Anyways, Satine is salty, and so am I.
Satine is salty, and so am I. That's good. That's good. You think the antidote to the poison was just a big pallet of reasonably priced Arizona iced tea?
That or was just straight scotch. I don't know.
Give them all a belt
a little
of
bit of the dog, the hair of the dog that bit your ass.
Korean double brandy. They'll be right as rain.
Absolutely. Just put him to bed. He'll sleep it off. That's my grandfather.
Yeah, boomer grandparents. Yeah, I got my shot of whiskey. That'll shut him up.
Padme tells Satine to have hope and to try to believe that the Prime Minister is looking into it. And I'm like,
oh, God.
So after Padme's like, oh, have faith. The Prime Minister will and his committee will get to the bottom of this, which is the most naive line I've ever heard Padme say, and it seems weirdly written for her. I don't agree with it. This isn't true to her character at all. Like, she is Sus Lady 101. Sorry. Satine is very jaded and doesn't even trust her own government anymore, and suggests maybe having a Jedi work undercover could help uncover any corrupted parties. And I'm like,
nudge, nudge.
It's a long con to see Obi-Wan again. Just hollow call to get your rocks off. We don't need a whole episode about this.
You think all the Jedi are like, if one of them just had the balls to say, look, let's just have, it's okay to have sex and get married, they probably all would have been like, yeah, okay, we're all cool with that. Like, I know what the philosophical reason behind the unattachment thing, blah, blah, blah. But like, come on, there's so many stories of them violating these rules. Even if they're non-canon, they're still funny stories.
Well, we all know that there's a good chance that Yoda did not abide by this rule, because possibly, a few years ago, there might be a baby hiding in that Jedi temple. Just saying.
That's Yoda and Yaddle's love child. Yaddle was a real female Jedi on the council, and still in the other similar race of Yodas, which we still don't know the name of, which is still kind of fun.
Yeah.
Some people have called them the Wills, I think, but like the original... the George Lucas thing, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool that some things still have a bit of mystique around them.
I actually had a conversation with my coworker today about the theory behind why Yoda speaks that way when Yaddles doesn't.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What are your theories?" And I was like, "Okay, well, they have in their universe weed called spice, and they use it for meditation. I think he just used it one too many meditations. The man is green, and this one got my coworker really good. But we also had that he got hit on the head one too many times during training sessions, or he is the world's most unbelievable troll. And this one I would believe based off of that one episode.
I'd buy that.
Right? Yep. He is the world's biggest troll. It is the longest con, and he got so used to it that he doesn't know how to speak any other way. It started out as a joke, but along the way, he kind of forgot.
He's like, in his own species age. He's like grandpa age, right? So he's just fucking with everybody. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, yeah. No, he's just like, start.
Yeah, and then he goes back to his room at night, and he's like,
Padme assures her that she will ask Master Yoda to assign Obi-Wan, Skywalker, or someone to help. I don't think that's going to go well. I have a question for you, something that occurred to me while I was kind of going through this episode, while I was reading it through actually now. It didn't occur to me before. Has there ever been any like theories about Padme being force sensitive?
That's not something I've heard a lot about. I mean, I'm sure there has been. If you can think of it, somebody's probably got a fucking the internet thread on it somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. It's not something I've ever really thought about myself.
I'm just gonna enter into evidence the episode's climax where she literally cleaned a room with a blaster, and she has been into a lot of scrapes, and she has been very fortunate to luck her way out of them. I don't know, I just think that she's got like a very low level innate, like it's almost like a spidey sense, but she doesn't really have like an ability she can manipulate and kind of use externally to her, but I think it just makes her really quick on the reflexes.
It's just a natural badass.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, not everybody I know needs to be force sensitive to be a badass, but it makes sense considering the children she produced.
Yeah.
And we know that Leia had an more innate force ability, or she really kept it close to the chest if she ever practiced in secret, because you get to see visions of that later with, um, what was her rank? General?
Yep.
Yeah, General Organa. So yeah, I think that there's a little bit of an innate force sensitivity there, because I know that Skywalker is like potent with the force, ew, but
Blech.
but I hope that we kind of stick with Mandalore. I kind of like the storyline. I just like Satine, watching her be a badass. If we get Obi and she turns into just a love interest for him and it becomes his story, I'm going to be annoyed because this is her planet. But we'll see.
All right, I have to go off on my Mandalorian screed here.
Yep. That's why I was just like, those are my thoughts. The floor is yours.
All right, buckle up. No, well, when this came out, it was like around 2010ish or so. So Star Wars Galaxies was still going, and the new movies, new canon stuff hadn't kicked in really yet. So, and of course, everybody in the game, including myself, was trying to be the coolest Mandalorian on the block, getting the armor. And the only information we had about Mandalorians up to that point was a lot of this sort of one or two line things concerning Fett, that he was from a race of warriors, and the fandom just sort of filled in the rest. But there were these books out that are non-canon now by Karen Travis, and they were the Republic Commando series, which has a really cool take on Mandalorians training some of the clones and how they come together. And the big theme in that book is a lot about Mandalorian culture being, clan by choice and coming together. And in a lot of ways, these books help define Clan Flinn to become what it is. They're great books, they're not canon anymore. And she also wrote every third book of a set of 9, I think, that was about the Solo kids, the twins, where one of them falls to the dark side, and Boba Fett's involved in that story too. And he actually becomes Mandalore, and he's like living in his friend's barn. And Mandalore is still a very wild, forested place. It's very different. It's non-canon, but that's the Mando info and canon stuff we had at the time. And we loved it. It made us cool, like warriors, like Klingons and shit like that. But then along comes Clone Wars and says, oh, the Mandalorians are pacifists now. And this is what their planet looks like, and their warrior culture is kind of a thing of the past now. And we hated that. And everyone that's RP Mando's like, nah, we're just disregarding that. And then they made it that the Death Watch were the only Mandalorians that had any balls, that wore the armor or did anything, and they made them terrorists. So it was a tumultuous time for the online Mandalorian role player. Let's put it that way. All right, rant over.
Star Wars Galaxies must have been lit with rants.
There was some discussion. I mean, we just sort of went on and did our own thing anyway. Even back then, a lot of us thought, yeah, okay, there's rooms for many stories, blah blah blah, and we just did our own thing. But there was a moment we were like, pacifists? Who the fuck's writing this? Mandalorian's pacifists? Get out of here.
Although I do like that they kind of got back to more of what is known to the fan base as
Yeah.
being a Mandalorian. Like they definitely, with the show and all of the live action stuff that's kind of been going on, they did get back to that. So
Yeah.
that's something at least.
Even with that, they fucked with us a little bit because everyone's like, "Oh, badasses! He never takes his helmet off," and it turns out that's a cult splinter part, which we knew. Like the Mandalorian stuff does start to get better in my mind for classic elements as we move on in Clone Wars. Like Bo-Katan will come in and all that. You know that's coming. Yeah. And so there's a lot of Mandalorian stuff but initially. The idea, it was just one line how the Mandalorians are pacifists now, and we were like, fuck off. It grew and it got better and things, and there's lots of room for diversity and different stories and interpretations. So we all got cool with it eventually, I think. But at the start, we were like, we don't like this.
Is Katie Sackhoff voicing Bo-Katan? Was that the big excitement? Because I remember there was a lot of excitement when she took her helmet off and it was actually her underneath the helmet.
Yeah, that was like the fan gold trophy is getting the voice actor to play the real person, right?
I think that we actually covered that episode in like Flinn cast or something back in when it was on, because I remember
for sure.
Joni excessively geeking out, not excessively, just appropriately geeking out about having Katie Sackhoff and having Katie Sackhoff as a ginger and having Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan as a ginger. So, and it was like a cosplay for Joni made it for.
It was very welcome news for Star Wars fans. And the only way that, of course, because the fandom fucks things up, is they started bitching about how old Bo-Katan was, because there's a 20-year gap where the Skywalkers grow up. So they're always saying they look too young here, they look too old here, and I'm just like, shut up and enjoy this story. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? We got the voice actress to do that.
Right.
Like because they're going to do Firefly as an animated series, and they're getting somebody else to do book. So be fortunate that you have your voice actors to be able to go onto the live stage. So that's all the thoughts I had about this episode. I did like that they spent a lot of time with woman-to-woman conversations. You don't get that much in the show. And they weren't needing to be rescued. They were badasses in their own right. I did enjoy this episode. I do not like the amount of effort that the two ladies put into their hair. Like, sweetie, you guys are trying to save it. Go with a low pony. You don't need the Braidmaster 3000, which sounds like something we would create on Patently Stupid, except somehow it would end up collecting your poop.
Why did every invention you guys made involve a backpack and a vacuum and shit?
Because we always voted on the poop joke.
Okay, time for Buffy Season 3, Episode 5, Homecoming. Okay, prediction is the homecoming dance will be ruined by a returning villain, and I took a guess that maybe it'll be Spike or something, because I know he comes back at some point. The Bronze is looking less like a bar and more like a Central Perk looking youth hangout now. You notice that? It's starting to feel like that now?
Yep.
And I'm wondering if this is a deliberate choice or just the 90s being the 90s.
It's the 90s, yeah.
So the gang is discussing how to get to the homecoming dance, and maybe a public bus or Oz's van. Buffy doesn't look too thrilled. She's sort of sitting there like a fifth wheel, and Cordelia is aiming to be homecoming queen.
I love that you said she's sitting there like on fifth wheel, because it goes along with my comment going, I forgot that Scott and Buffy were dating.
Cordelia asks if Scott has asked her to dance yet, as he's standing right there. Cordelia doesn't give two fucks. So, she will talk about you to your face, and just the honesty.
He's a girl's girl. She is looking out for Buffy in this moment. She's calling that right out, and I'm just like, girl, I know that you two don't get along all the time, but mad respect right now for winning this out. Yeah.
And Scott says, I will if you want to. Buffy says, I will if you want to. I'm like, the age-old relationship dance.
Oz, the judges will take that as a yes.
Yep. Buffy says she's tired and leaves, but heads over to where Angel stews around in his lair, and he's got a cozy fire going. And she brings him a grande of blood. Fuck knows where she got that. She says she hasn't told anybody about him being back, and she will keep helping him. Says she's involved with somebody and that he makes her happy. So I wasn't sure if she was going to reveal any sort of dating type thing to him, but she does.
way to bury the lead. She's like, oh, so I'll come help you with this. Here's some blood. I'm dating someone. Anyways, bye.
We had a chance for a blood spit take there. So flash to school the next day where Scott says we shouldn't see each other anymore, saying that Buffy seems distracted and she tries to salvage things, but he follows through with the breakup. Someone's watching her through binoculars in a van, and there's some like tactical spy bros in there. And they use a modem through a flip phone to contact an older guy in a swanky pad, who I recognize as Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld, so this is going to be hilarious. Mr. Trick is here with them and says that's the target. So Buffy's got some bounty hunters on her.
In the nubile flesh, what? Why?
Yeah, unnecessary.
You've used that word twice so far in the series. That is almost one per season. That is 3 seasons too many. I made a mental note to ask Vinzer how the 90s tech flashbacks were going during this episode.
I mean, well, anytime I hear a modem sound, it's like my PTSD. I just sort of space out. It's more like an acid flashback, I guess. It's right up there with that, like that Super Mario select screen music or the Wii or whatever. You know, it just, you know, the one with the Furby who looks like he's stoned. All right, City Hall. A nervous young fellow is meeting the mayor and reports to him that the spy bros, Frederick and Hans Grunstaller, wanted German terrorists. In my head, I heard Hans Gruber. The mayor weirdly smells the paper and thinks the A's hands could be cleaner. I'm like, oh, he's a germaphobe. And he says to put the spy bros under surveillance. And I'm like, who spied on the spy bros? Who do they got for that?
The mayor would not have gotten COVID.
No, yeah, he was on it.
I actually had originally forgot that we met him in this episode. I didn't know. I never usually remember what episode we kind of meet him in because he's been referenced for a while, so he kind of just slides in. But I knew about the rest of this episode. I just forgot this little B plot here, and I'm very excited about this.
So at school, it's picture day, and of course, other than Oz's very neutral expression, they all go about as bad as you would expect. And Cordelia is checking out all the Queen competition. And Buffy and Faith are training in the library. Guys should break up with you more often. Really got some quality rage going.
She is such a good wing woman.
Faith offers to go to the dance with her and find some guys, use them, and discard them. Buffy agrees, at least to the going part. Probably. And Buffy talks to a teacher for a recommendation. She still needs that recommendation letter. I missed the character's name, but this is definitely Vash from Star Trek The Next Generation, same actress. But the teacher doesn't seem to know who the hell Buffy is.
To be fair, her other favorite teachers who actually know her name are dead.
Yeah, just think of that. So meanwhile, Cordelia is busy campaigning. Buffy laments that she is a non-person and confronts Cordelia about not telling her about picture day when there's actually some static between them here. We haven't really seen that in a while. Like, you kind of get full of this complacency that they're friends and allies, but there's still, you know, a couple girls in high school and there's still static between them sometimes. And anyway, Buffy vows to win homecoming queen and awakening her inner prom queen. Mr. Trick is talking to a few people in the swanky vampire mansion, including a Craven the Hunter knockoff, vampire cowboy, pretty sure it's the survivor of the brothers we've seen before, and he's got himself a trashy vampire wife. A yellow demon guy with a stegosaurus head, whose name is Kulak, I guess, and the Spy Bros, the Hans Gruber twins. See, I can make up nicknames too. It's a hunting competition with Buffy and Faith being the targets, and they're calling it Slayerfest 98.
Which honestly is a great name. The delivery of Mr. Trick in this entire... the whole time that Trick is on the screen, he steals every scene.
He does.
I looked up the actor. K. Todd Freeman is the actor, and he deserves so many more roles. This actor's delivery is perfect.
Oh yeah, I like him.
I like Gorch's line of this where he's like, oh, this is dirty money. And Gorch is like, they're non-consecutive. I loved that. And of course, Trick has another amazing line. He's like, vampires, demons, spiny-headed looking creatures. Like, he just...
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
Yeah, K. Todd Freeman was in TMNT 2014. He was in The Dark Knight. For the rest of the next few minutes, I'll just be saying ew in the corner.
I just realized what part we're to here. Willow and Xander are getting gussied up for the dance. They're playing up their long-standing friendship, and I'm hoping it stays that way, and I'm starting to wonder if they will. Oh, fuck, I use music and they've kissed. Fuck. And they're both mortified and the scene ends. And I'm like, great, here we go.
Why is Willow looking for fashion advice from Xander? Why is she not doing this with Buffy and or Cordelia? Well, I guess you can't keep them both in the same room right now. But Buffy, this is a girls thing. You take your girls dress shopping. You don't take your fashion impaired male best friend who is gross shopping or to your bedroom to then get no. I'll be over here. Ew, no.
It all felt very unnatural and very, it didn't feel right. Also, it looks like he's wearing a tearaway tuxedo. Okay, Buffy has a big whiteboard in the library, and she's literally laying out her adversaries for homecoming like she's planning a military operation. And I see some of Michelle Blake's weaknesses are bad skin and dandruff. Listed weaknesses under Cordelia are two-faced, fake smile, and Xander. Xander's listed as a weakness.
Love that.
Buffy argues that she's not unpopular as a lot of people came to her welcome home party and were killed by zombies.
Other weaknesses for Cordelia: manipulative, two-faced, bad in sports, but she's a cheerleader, so I question this one. Superficial, no sense of humor, fake smile. Apparently Brie, like the cheese, is a con. And of course Xander, which I did laugh and make a comment that the show is telling on itself.
As Buffy assigns tasks, Cordelia walks in and looks like she's already recruited the gang for everything, and they all leave with her. It's not like anyone takes it that seriously, Buffy says, as she crushes the glass bottle in her hand. I don't care. Crack.
I love that Giles is hiding in the stacks until all the teens leave.
Yeah.
He's like, how long do I have to pretend to read this book before they leave?
Whatever the supernatural threat is in this episode, it's clear the real conflict is the homecoming queen race. The bounty hunters is the B plot.
It's true.
As the bad guys make their preparations, Buffy bumps into Scott Hope, who says she has his vote. She's working hard, handing out cupcakes, flirting with the football team, and intentionally dropping her books in front of people, all to a 90s music montage.
Buffy's poster has literally nothing on it except for her name.
And Willow bumps into Buffy, babbles incoherently before saying she's a bad friend and she should be shot like a dog for helping Cordelia. It's a little harsh. I saw a poster in the background saying the dance is going to be at the Bronze, so I'm like, that place is definitely getting destroyed again. And the Spy Bros are out in their van spying on Buffy again. And here's Jonathan, and he's fucking, I think that's Jonathan, he's hoeing into a cupcake in his cameo for this episode. So he probably showed up for the day, shoved a cupcake in his mouth, and probably made like $800. Fucking good day.
Yep.
Buffy and Cordelia face off in the hall, and it gets a little ugly. Cordelia says she has two parents, and it almost devolves into pushing. And I'm thinking that would have gone really bad for Cordelia. Calls Buffy a freak, who calls her a vapid whoreback. And I'm like, ooh, good word usage. And Xander breaks it up.
That was my introduction to that term, and I held on to that term throughout all of my teenage. It was my last-ditch effort to really dig a low blow to someone. I didn't use it that often, but I'm sorry, are we going to skip right over the Vulcan death grip demonstration from Cordelia?
How did I miss that?
It's so quick, because when Buffy walks up to confront her, she's like, are you kidding? I've been doing the Vulcan death grip since, like, I was young. And then she just starts flicking the nerd on the forehead.
I must have been looking down at that part. Shit, I missed that. I usually pause it, but sometimes I miss little gems like that. I gotta be more careful.
forehead, and all the nerds are standing around because she's trying to get their vote. And they're all like, what the hell is she doing?
Okay, Xander and Willow are back hanging out in her room alone, which is another great idea.
Ew.
Why they would be back in that room. Willow blames herself. The group dynamic is breaking apart, and Xander's pretty miserable. The promised land of being a senior with a girlfriend isn't all he thought it would be.
Ew. Ew, 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 ew.
The big night arrives. Buffy's dolled up and jumps in a limo, surprised to find Cordelia inside. They have a note from the gang saying they have to work out their shit. The spy bros are on the prowl, and Cordelia took the orchid corsage because it goes with her complexion better. Buffy agrees. Sallow tint. Burn. It's another great word usage. Vapid whore and sallow tint. Like Buffy's got a fucking vocabulary or a thesaurus or some shit in her bedside table.
Yep.
Word a day calendar.
She's probably studying for the SATs.
Yeah, all the words are fresh in her mind. The limo stops in the woods where a 90s TV and VCR is set up, which is a hassle in the 90s, you know.
On a rock.
That's a long extension cord. Mr. Trick is on the video, and he says, welcome to Slayer Fest 98. You've got 30 seconds to run for your lives. And there's even like a Slayer Fest graphic on the TV, and I'm like, he went the extra mile here. And then like it blows up from a shot or something. So I'm like, Mr. Trick's got some showmanship happening here.
I love him.
At the Bronze, Oz's band plays. The lead singer's doing this weird shouldery dance that I think I've seen people do in the 90s. He's like all lumpy, noodly arms and leading with the shoulders. You know the dance?
Yep. Oh, yeah. No, I'm very familiar with how the lead singer of Dingoes Ate My Baby dances. Very stereotypical.
Willow and Xander stand awkwardly in the crowd. Faith immediately calls out their mopiness. Faith sees Scott dancing with another girl. Sleazebag. This is good. Here's Giles. We have to find Buffy. Something terrible's happened. I'm just kidding. Are those finger sandwiches? And then he runs off.
The only comment I had on that whole scene was Giles and the finger sandwiches, which is a great band name, by the way.
Giles and the finger sandwiches. I love it when Giles pulls a fast one, honestly. He's not the guy you expect to pull a prank, and even just a silly little one like that, I very much enjoyed.
They're really warming him up over the 3 seasons. It seems to be a very organic development. I do like how they handle a lot of Giles' growth.
It's like he's like, I'm comfortable with these people. I'm going to try to be funny.
Yeah. And honestly, on another night, that probably would have landed. But while they're in like Guiltville, population them, they're not listening to anything.
Worst possible time to crack a joke. They're all miserable right now. Then Faith cuts into Scott's dance and gives a spiel to keep using the ointment, implying he has a terrible rash in his gentleman's sausage area. This was cold-blooded. I was like, I write my notes say, talk about a drive-by hit.
Oh, Faith is so petty. She is one of the people who helped develop my inner petty Betty growing up. She is a wonderful, wonderful wing woman in this episode. I adore Faith.
Giles retreats to the library until the coronation, which again tells me that the school and the Bronze must be awfully close to each other. And Willow and Xander continue moping about.
I had that comment. I was like, how close is the high school to the Bronze? He's not in the gym. Like, it was almost written like he was in the gym. And I just enjoy how mad he is at the finger sandwiches. He's like, they might contain actual fingers.
Right. Yeah, Bronze is definitely next street over or some shit. It's got to be walking distance. So the homecoming queens are running through the woods. Buffy almost steps into a bear trap, picks it up, throws it at the hunter, and then he steps into another trap. And I'm like, that's a roll in a 20 right there.
Yep. Yeah, this is you rolled a nat 20.
I throw a bear trap. Yeah, how do you want to do this? The best question a DM can ask a player. How do you want to do this? So the hunter actually gives up info on the other hunters. The queens retreat to an old cabin. Cordelia laments that she's going to die and never know if she really loves Xander or if it's temporary insanity. Buffy gets her mad enough to look for weapons. So back at base, Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld has hacker skills, and he shuts down the phone in the cabin that they're hiding in. Hacking was all the rage back then. Not that I certainly ever engaged in such things. Giles checks his answering machine, a physical machine, which was rapidly becoming obsolete by 1998 because now we were firmly in the age of caller ID and Star 69 and all that. So even back then, it was a little weird to see someone with a physical answering machine. That was more of an 80s thing. And then my question is, but how did they leave a message if the phone got killed? Or I guess Seinfeld guy did it after that.
Yeah, he got partway through the message, and you could see where it cut her off. But I like that Cordelia thought to use the spatula before the phone.
While they're waiting, Cordelia's like, why do you even want to be homecoming queen? And Buffy says, because the Slayer thing is her whole life. So it makes total sense to me that she would want something just so everyday high school kid normal, that she would latch on to that. The Stegosaurus head leaps through the window like a Mortal Kombat character as Cordelia swats at him with her spatula. Buffy literally pulls the rug out, knocking him down. Cordelia is a very bad shot.
In this scene, Cordelia says a comment of, I don't want to be in your life. And let's look at the history. She didn't have to be in the library whittling stakes in preparation for St. Peter's Day or St. Mark's Day or something like that. And she didn't have to go there when something weird was happening to her with the invisible girl in Out of Sight, Out of Mind. She didn't have to continually go there and find herself. She didn't have to drive Xander at 6 a.m. to Buffy's house only to get attacked and locked in the basement and forced to kiss Xander by a maggot monster. I beg to differ that you don't want this to be your life.
Cordelia keeps showing up. She just keeps showing up, and that speaks to the core of her character, no matter how vapid she may seem. With Seinfeld guy's assistance, the Spy Bros launch a grenade in the cabin. He's like giving them fucking GPS over a 28.8 fucking modem. I'm like, yeah, right. Buffy and Cordelia jump through a window. Stegosaurus head tries to do the same, but hilariously bounces off the wooden slats and gets blown to bits. Fatality. So at this point, I realized, yep, Cowboy Vampire is in fact the guy we saw before. I was pretty sure because they mentioned payback for his brother, and I'm like, there can't be another fucking Cowboy Vampire just like this. There just can't. And they've knocked out Giles, who had gone back to the school, and they've raided his armory, which looks fucking considerable. It's like a fucking the Knights of the Round Table's fucking broom closet.
How does he get around this? Like, there's nobody inspecting, like, a safety officer? Oh, who am I kidding? They probably had eaten trying to do the safety inspection.
They don't even seem that well hidden. You never get away with that shit today. So Cowboy and his skanky lady are letting Buffy's thin out their competition a bit. Pretty smart. And some cops come to the vampire lair and they take Mr. Trick away. I didn't see that one coming. I'm assuming the mayor sent them and that he's wrapped up in all this. The Buffy and Cordelia return to school. Cordelia still has her spatula. They get ambushed in the libraries, and there's some heavy hits here. Buffy's head gets put through several shelves and the wrong end of a hat stand, but she stakes the vamp with the fucking spatula Cordelia throws her, and it works. And Giles wakes up.
I'm sorry, maybe I just don't remember cutlery from the 90s, but were they usually wooden handled?
No, it looked metal to me. It was common for them to be metal.
Okay, just checking.
All right, we're going with that, writers. Okay, it's funny, but I mean, I even wrote in caps. It works, you know. Okay.
And how?
Then, in the most amazing bluff roll ever, Cordelia intimidates the cowboy into thinking she's a slayer, and it works. And he vamooses, "I'm the queen. Buffy's just the runner-up." And Cordelia sold it. She didn't fucking flinch, man. I would have believed her, and I would have ran too.
Like, she is just such a queen, and I loved this moment because we forget they thought she was Faith the whole time.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, it was an important point I probably should have made, but yes.
Yeah, they thought she was just the other Slayer. They didn't realize that they actually got the wrong girl because they did an old switcheroo.
And she survived.
And she saved Buffy because Buffy's unconscious with somehow not a concussion.
And she survived. She got to the end and got the mic drop line of the show.
She won the queen position as far as I'm concerned.
So the corsages, which is in retrospect completely obvious, are tracking devices, which is how Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld was giving the spy bro their intel. The spy bros arrive in school. Buffy lures one to the classroom and chucks a sticky corsage on him, and the old techie guy feeds the positioning to the other spy bro, and they shoot each other. And I thought that was kind of clever. It was a little silly 90s, internet tech. They turned against him somehow.
With teenage pranks, because isn't that like wet paper towel? Isn't that like a prank or something, wet paper towel, and you throw it at the ceiling, or you try to throw it to stick to the wall? Maybe that was just my
giant spitball, yeah.
Oh yeah, the spitball. Whatever happened to Jungle Bob? Do we think that they just kind of left him in the woods?
Yeah, like he had his leg in the trap. He's probably fucking sawing it off.
Yeah, he's full 27 hours or 78 or 86 hours.
Didn't they make a deal that they'd let him go if he gave up info? Wasn't that the deal?
They left him in the trap because the spiny-headed creature, Gulak, comes up and asks if he wants him to cut it off for him before he heads to the trap. So he's still there.
Jeez. You're going to find that. Keep an eye out in future episodes if they go to the woods for a skeleton in a bear trap. Fucking raccoons are going to pick that guy clean. Okay, sure enough, the cops take Mr. Trick to the mayor, Richard Wilkins. That name's almost as forgettable as Colin Robinson.
Richard Wilkins the third.
The third. Okay, well, that's a little
I have to bring that up. That comes back around later.
Oh, okay. So Richard Wilkins III knows who Mr. Trick is, and more importantly, what he is. So Dick goes on about how children are the future and he needs them, which I am sure has creepy connotations, like something he's probably feeding on their life force or some shit like that. And Dick wants to have Mr. Trick on his team. Now, finally, the big moment. Buffy and Cordelia arrive at the Bronze looking like they've been blown up, and there's a tie. Could it mean? Nope, it's the other two girls, because of course it is.
Why is the band naming the homecoming queen? Why isn't there a school representative, president of the student council? Unless it is the band lead singer, but he doesn't strike me as somebody who would be involved in student council.
Did the students just put on their own homecoming and Giles just got wind of it and came by?
I think so, because Snyder is nowhere around. None of the teachers.
Honestly, I would buy it as a throwaway line plot point if they said that Snyder canceled it this year, so they put it on at the Bronze independently. It honestly would have made sense. It would have answered a question for me.
The Bronze owner needs to pay for those insurance premiums and push those stale muffins from his bakery. Oh, I also have a note that Snyder would not want to announce it or step foot into the Bronze.
Yeah, that's true. If I've ever seen him in there, I would be very surprised. Anyway, we're at the end of the episode, and I like how the evening did reconnect Buffy and Cordelia. They went through some shit together, and kind of they rebonded a little, especially over not so much over the life-threatening things, but they both lost homecoming. They both lost homecoming, which I think bonded them even more than the threat of mortal death. And they walk out. So my summary for this one is I quite enjoyed this one. There's lots going on, some returning characters, and they each had their own silly gimmick or methods. And I can't believe Cowboy Bob got away again. I like that Buffy and Cordelia were a little at odds, but in the end they were good. Of bigger concern is what's going on between Willow and Xander. I'm sure Cordelia will be okay one way or the other, but it's Oz getting hurt that seems like it'll be hurtful to watch. Like, he's a werewolf and all that, but he's just such a nice guy. You don't want to see him get his heart broke, and I feel like that's coming. Weirdest part of the episode is why they're having the dance at the local bar, like the gym or something, and like, good luck to the teacher that goes in tomorrow and finds bullet holes in the walls and windows shot out and shit. I'm like, did Giles and them remove the spy bro's body? They just leave them lying around? Like, who's cleaning these up?
Oh my god, I never even thought.
Someone needs to be dragging these corpses out. It's like Giles putting them in his Citroen in the middle of the night and like telling his neighbors he's moving a dead deer or something.
Imagine the janitor contract that they would have to have. You might need to move the occasional body into the incinerator.
Honestly, if it turned out that, like, okay, broad theory at the moment is, of course, that I think the mayor is mixed up in all this in Hellmouth stuff, and he's doing something to the students. Like I said, he's probably eating their souls like Shang Tsung or something. So I think it is in his best interest to keep all this shit covered up. So he's probably got a cleaner crew that goes and does this shit, to keep it quiet to serve his purposes. So there's a broad theory at the moment for you.
Honestly, that would work because he knows about Slayerfest 98.
Yeah. So he's in this shit somehow. He's not
Yeah.
a dummy on the outside. So I'm looking forward to unraveling all that. I give this episode 4 spatulas out of 5.
I like that both of the episodes that we watched tonight, like these are oddly synchronized because we had two female leads leading the way on their own little duo side quest and being badasses, and it was really nice. And one of them was a brunette and one of them was a blonde.
Yeah, I have to say this. I mean, I've been warming to Cordelia for some time now, just because, like I say, she keeps showing up and she's part of the team, for however silly she may seem. But this episode made me like her more.
What are your initial thoughts on Mayor Wilkins?
Well, like we said, I think he's sending this up to his eyeball somehow. If not controlling it, he's definitely benefiting from it. I feel like we're going to get some reasons some answers to all those silly questions I've been asking about the death count in this town and how does nobody outside notice it. Like, I feel like there are larger strings being pulled here, and he's mixed up in it somehow. And I thought, he gave off a weird vibe right away, not just because of the germaphobe thing, just he's got this weird affect that, like, he knows something you don't, and he's got all the power, whether you realize that or not. You know what I mean?
And it'll be interesting to see how your opinion of him evolves going on, because they take the time to flush him out. Like, I won't go into it at all, but it is really interesting to see how his character goes ahead.
Well, I would buy that because this show is doing that for me. Like I said, I've been slowly warming to Cordelia for a while, and I like her pretty good right now. And that seems to happen. I guess you get attached to characters as over time as you go, but like, I'm gradually liking each one except for Sandra.
Yes.
But other than, like, they're growing on me more and more. So like I'm at the start of the journey with this guy, whether he's going to be a good guy or a bad guy. Maybe he's a good guy in a big twist. But yeah, I'll be watching. It's kind of fun.
I remember watching this episode or this season kind of around the same time that I watched the Leviathan season in Supernatural. So a lot of those, like, dick jokes, because their main guy their main antagonist first name was Dick. And just the jokes back and forth, applying some of those jokes into this season is going to go a long way.
I liked how Giles was mostly in the literal background of this episode, and then one time he really popped forward was to tell a silly joke and then ran off for some finger sandwiches.
Why am I Giles? Why am I Giles?
I wonder if the writers got to the end like, well, we don't really have a lot for Tony in this episode, and then we'll just put him in the back in the library and then we'll have him tell a joke. Well, we'll be back next week to cover probably more diplomatic trade issues. And then we might talk about Star Wars.
And then the Buffy episode. This is the one that I've been saying we need to get to.
Oh, really?
October. Yes. I love this episode.
Okay. Well, we will be back with that next week.
Same bat time, possibly. Same bat channel, most definitely.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.